There we go. So yeah, I want to talk a little bit about condo resale. It's important because, you know, especially now with bid wars and stuff like that, we need to know how to review a status certificate a little bit. And I'll talk about cautioning you with that as well, but we need to at least know what's inside it. I find a lot of agents that I talked to were trained over the years. They didn't know very much about the status certificate. It's just this document that they get and they pass on and they never ever take a chance to look at it. So it's important that you guys sort of know just a little brief synopsis. But I wanted to go over first to start this off, the different types of condos. So how many people get kind of confused with the different types of condos when you're looking online? Because most of the time, all day long, we're selling just condos, right? You know, common standard condominiums, right? So we all know what a standard condominium is, right? Let me just go and share my screen here so you guys can follow along with me. Okay, I think this is important because sometimes I see things mislisted. And I know it gets a bit confusing, right? Everybody thinks, oh, condo, easy. It just means it's not freehold. But there are different types, you know, at the end of the day. So the one we deal with 99% of the time is the standard condominium corporation, right? So this type of condo is the most common. It's defined as being a separate unit or row house. When you purchase a standard condo, you own the unit and in some cases a parking spot or a locker, right? If your condo building has other amenities like a pool or a gym, you'd have access to those spaces, but you wouldn't own them. In most cases, you'd be subject to a fluctuating maintenance fee that's used to pay for and maintain common areas and landscaping. So basically, at the end of the day, what we're looking at is you're owning your individual unit, right? So everything within that unit is usually your responsibility. Everything outside of that unit, right? So they always say inside the drywall is yours, outside the drywall is the condo core, right? So you're looking at maybe windows, roof maintenance, if the building has a pool or a gym that they maintain, if there is like visitor or meeting space, games room, whatever the case is at the end of the day, that is what your maintenance fees are going to. So say there's 100 units, right? They're all paying a proportionate share to maintain those common areas, but each unit is maintaining what's inside their walls, basically, as soon as you open that door within the drywall, right, in the living space. Okay, so that's a basic one. That's easy. Co-op or co-ownership, okay? So this is you own shares in the private company that owns the building, and by owning those shares, you're given exclusive rights to occupy a specific unit in that building. Potential owners are also interviewed by the board. Okay, so this is not the same as a condo corporation, and you guys have to be really careful when you're looking at your listing, because I've seen agents deals fall through for this. There's a few buildings in Scarborough in particular that the mortgage company is really iffy about mortgaging co-op or co-ownership, right? Because you're not owning that particular unit. At the end of the day, if you default on your mortgage, they don't have that unit to take away, right? They don't have that space, right? To take back and foreclose on you, right? So a lot of lenders are iffy about this. You have to be careful if you're looking at a co-op or a co-ownership. They either have to come down with a way heftier deposit or go to only certain lenders that'll fund that building, okay? Common elements condominium corporations. So this type of condo corporation doesn't have any units, but has shared spaces or amenities. The owners of the land are responsible for maintenance of these shared common elements and most often require community members to pay maintenance fees. So you might have some townhouses over here and a little building over here, and even some houses, detached houses, but maybe they're all sharing a golf course or a tennis courts, tennis and squash courts, or some roads in between that, you know, I don't know, go through parkland or something that is owned by this corporation. So that's what your actual dwelling is not part of the condo corporation, but they have shared spaces or amenities between these different things that they're using, that they're paying a proportionate fee of, right? Yeah.
Condo you were talking about, and then the actual owner. What is other corporation or something like? What is that? I don't understand that. Somebody else owns somebody else, and then
between the condo and the co-ownership.
Yeah.
Okay, so condo is, this is my space here. This is my box, right? I live in this square, and I own this, right?
Yeah.
But I'm going to use the pool and the gym, so I'm going to pay $1 per month towards maintaining that. Yeah. That's a standard condo corporation, okay? Yeah. Whereas a co-ownership, they take all of the units in the building and the amenities and the foyer and the security and all of that, and then they divvy it all up into shares. So now instead of me owning my unit, out of 100 people, I'm 10% shareholder of the entire building, the pool, the foyer, everything. I'm a shareholder in that. It's a co-ownership deal. Yeah. So it's a little different. That's why I say you have to be really cautious when you're working with this, if you come across them in the system, because you don't own that particular space necessarily. You'll find a lot of lenders are really sticky about funding for it. Yeah, it's difficult, right? So you have to be careful. No problem. Timeshare. So we don't see this that often. I don't know, maybe you guys can let me know if you've dealt with a lot of timeshares, but usually you're going to sell it and there'll be a few owners and they're going to take certain weeks to go and visit this timeshare, right? So they own it with a number of people and they're sharing the time in the property, right? That's basically it at the end of the day. I'll say a timeshare is a way for a number of people to share ownership of a property, usually a vacation property such as a condominium unit within a resort area. Each buyer usually purchases a certain period of time in a particular unit. Timeshares typically divide the property into 1 to 2 week periods. So I want to buy a property in the Muskokas because I like to go there in the summer with my kids, but I'm going to own it with 10 other people who want to divvy up the time during the course of the year, right? Okay. Vacant land condominiums. Now, I don't see this much. I personally haven't done any, but I guess more developers, if there's any developers in the office who deal with this more. Vacant land condos are defined as bare land that is sold and used to construct condominiums. Corporations register and sell their land as condominium before any building begins, okay? Vacant land condo owners not only own their home, but they also own the land it sits on. Usually the maintenance fee for this condo are much lower because of the benefits of vacant land condos. So that means that before any building happens on it, they're going to divvy up a proportionate share of everything. So the road maintenance or the garden maintenance of the lawn, everybody's going to share a proportionate cost of that, right? Benefits of vacant land condos, just a little quick aside because it's not a very familiar topic for us. Vacant land condos are attractive for several reasons. As mentioned above, if you choose to go this route, you would own your unit and the land. This means that you're free, God bless you, that you're free to customize the inside of your home any way you like and have the flexibility to make changes to your exterior space. So this is a little different in the sense that when you're in a condo corporation, while you're required to maintain the inside of your home, you have to usually go to the condo corporation if you want to do any renovations. Like if you want to remodel your kitchen, for instance, it's your responsibility to maintain the inside and it's at your cost, but you still have to approach the board because they want things done to a certain standard. They want to make sure you're not messing with the plumbing of the whole building by doing whatever adjustments you're doing. You usually have to get an approval from the board. Whereas with a vacant land condo, you're going to own your space. You can do whatever you want with your space. You're just paying a proportionate fee towards, like I said, the road maintenance, the lights, the pond, the trimming of the trees, whatever the case may be. All right, I'm just going to stop the share for a second, see if you guys have any questions. Are you guys confused or is that good? You guys understand the different types? I just kind of wanted to go over it quickly because I've seen things mislisted in the system very often. Like I say, especially coming up with co-ownership condos, I've seen some people's deals fall through where they think, oh, it's a great deal. And then they enter into a contract with their clients and then they're not able to get funding for it. Have you guys come across anything like this with the condos?
Right now there's somebody's like they're applying for a mortgage for a condo it's about like it was about 400K, but then he was totally qualified and stuff and he even handed in the deposit and then now he's like dilly-dallying on the mortgage for some reason. We're not really sure why.
What do you mean? Like the person who purchased the condo? Did he purchase through you?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and you're in a contract already?
Yes. Like he already handed the deposit.
Right.
It was with the previous brokerage, but like they
well, you better caution your client that if he defaults on the closing, he's going to lose his deposit. Yeah.
Like
so
that's the thing. Like I've warned him and stuff, and then he keeps.
What's the reason? Maybe was he having trouble getting a mortgage? Could you maybe offer him some assistance with any of the guys out
Yeah,
of our
so-
office or something that could possibly assist?
So I sent him already like 2 like mortgage people, and then I even sent him a B lender. Like I think I was asking about B lenders over the weekend.
Yeah, I think you put it on the chat actually. Yeah.
So I was asking because of this guy, and then he's still like, oh, I'm still waiting or something. And then I even like I told him like if you're having issues, like come to my office or whatever, like I can help you. But he's just like I'm not really sure what's going on. Is the thing. Like I don't know if maybe something's shady, like maybe he actually doesn't have the rest of the down payment or something. And like,
Well, you have to find out what the source of that is for sure. Maybe we can help you make some calls today to your client and figure that out.
Yeah.
Does anybody have any questions about the types of condos I just went over? Are you guys good with that part and I can move on? All right. Do you guys work mostly with condos or detached homes? Or I know a lot of these people like to focus on condos and they really specialize in condos. Anybody a condo specialist in our office that does mostly condos? No, not online right now. All right. I just thought maybe you guys could offer some nice insight to what it's like, right? I do both pretty much half and half. So, okay, we're going to go.
Or like mostly people like the condominium also, but after the COVID management, it slowed down, but now it's again come up.
I know.
Because of the elevator, common usage.
That's the thing. I had tons and tons and tons of clients. I don't know if you guys experienced the same thing.
Yeah.
I had tons of clients who were kind of done with condos right now, and they just wanted to get out of that, especially the downtown core. And I had tons of clients that sold their condo and moved out east. I sold a lot like Oshawa, Clarington, Port Hope, Peterborough. I found myself just continuously going out east this year because of COVID. Because you're right, people wanted.
Now it's changing. Everywhere building condos now.
I know. So, because it'll eventually go away, and they're anticipating that, right? Especially since we've had a hold off on the influx of people like immigrating, right? So now when the borders open again, I'm sure we're going to see a big influx, right? Which is why we were talking with the new build there at the Garden Series. They were saying, by the time this is built, it's a really good time when we're going to experience that influx of people coming in that kind of stalled over the last year and the year going forward with COVID, right? So it's definitely a good investment in that way. But yeah, I had tons and tons of clients who just did not want to do the elevator anymore and share with people because of COVID. They wanted to move out into big open spaces, right? And then on the flip side, you had lots of investors downtown in the downtown core. I had someone who worked for UFT in the lab, and he wanted a place close by. So I looked in the Bay Corridor, and I thought I had done my search incorrectly because I did a lead, what was available for lease just in the Bay Corridor, and like 400 results came up. Just in the Bay Corridor, because those big tall buildings, and there were so many vacancies because nobody was renting downtown.
And then he luckily rented, but lower rent. Or 3,000-4,000, but
exactly.
500.
No.
And then 21 vacant now.
Yeah. This is what I'm saying, right? And I really truly thought I had done my search wrong because there were so many results that came out of that, right?
What about like property management teams? Because sometimes they don't want to work with realtors.
They have to, the management.
Like they won't directly say it, right? It's they'll just this is mostly with leases that I've noticed. But it's just a little annoying, because leases still take up a lot of time. Like
they do. They absolutely do, for sure.
Right. So it's like like the least I can get is the little tiny commission, and then I still don't get it.
I know
because
it's difficult when you're dealing with property managers who don't cooperate with agents, right? So especially if their building's in high demand, it's kind of difficult to get around that. So anyways, we're going to go on here real quick and just, things to remember when buying a condo, right? So if your clients ask you, hey, what's the difference if I buy a new build or if I buy, a resale? 1 second here. This mouse is a little stuck here for me. There we go. All right, back to there. Okay, so with a new condo, right, we know that you can go to the builder and you can customize things, right? Which is great. With a resale condo, you can tell your client, you physically see what you're getting. So while you can customize things, I use an example, for instance, the K-Square condos that just came up. We were looking through all the finishes and we thought this was great. And I actually took a client over there. And when we went over and we saw the physical mock-up of what the unit was going to look like, we felt everything was really low. And I had a really tall client. So we felt the counter height was really low and like it was a lot of bend over, design with the cabinets and stuff like that and pullouts, and they weren't a fan of it. So sometimes the customization is great, but when you physically see it as well, it's really, it's sometimes better because you know what you're getting, right? New condo, we were just talking about the Seraph, for good payment structure for the down payment, you have more time to save because it's usually a little bit down now. So say, for instance, 5,000 now, then 5,000, 5% in 90 days, 270, 350, whatever their payment structure would be. And then upon occupancy, whereas with a resale condo, you have to give a lump sum. Obviously, we know that, right? And then the deferred fees and levies can increase, and the maintenance fee, you get an approximate cost of what it's going to be when you buy a new build, right? Which isn't always the case by the time they're finished building. They do cap the levies and stuff in the contract, but at the end of the day, you don't really know. There's some of that unknown at the end of the day, right? Whereas with a resale condo, because they're already in full swing. They know exactly, let me just X this out here. They're already in full swing. They've already done their fund studies. They know how much their maintenance fees are. They know if they're going to increase in the near future. They know if there are any special assessments coming, stuff like that, right? So what are the biggest complaints? You have to, when you're buying a resale condo, you want to try your best to do your due diligence for your clients, right? And not just trust what the seller's saying. At the end of the day, is it a good condo? Oh yeah, it's great management. You want to get a hold of the meeting minutes and try and find out what the biggest complaints are in the building. Have they constantly been complaining that somebody is tripping in the foyer over something and it hasn't been fixed? Are they getting around to their maintenance? Is there someone complaining about noise? Pests in the building are a big one. You want to find out different stuff like that. What is the management team like? Go in and talk to management, especially the one who's there full-time in charge working. This is huge. I was selling to a client in the Scarborough Town Center area around to these buildings, and I always remember she ended up not buying in a building that she really liked the unit in because she had little kids. And I forget exactly which building it was, but I don't know if you guys are shown near the town center. There's one that has these like beaded curtains when you walk in the foyer, these metal beaded curtains. The kids were running through it. The management came out and yelled. And she says, how am I going to live in this building? I don't feel comfortable already. I haven't even moved in. So she ended up not buying there and she bought at Grangeway instead because we went in and the staff and the management was really pleasant. So she, you got to put yourself in the mindset when you have to live here every day. She was thinking every day I'm going to run down and management's going to come out barking at my kids, because the management lady there wasn't very nice, right? Is the storage space available? Find out if there's a locker or ensuite, or in most cases on another floor to store larger items. So if your client, has bikes or lots of Christmas decorations, or they sell stuff that they need to keep in storage. I have one client who stores TVs, right? They need a storage space. What does the insurance cover? Does their policy cover any of your content in the building if the building catches fire or if there's water damage, right? Do I fully understand the monthly association fee? So condo fees are based on how many units they are. We all know this. What the cost is to maintain the building short and long term, and how the building is managed and funds set aside for litigations and large repairs. So it's really important that you understand the monthly association fees to explain it to your clients, right? Is there any litigation? So this is a huge one. I know a lot of us don't think about it, but has the building been sued? Is there past or ongoing litigation, right? So are there people complaining, building unit owners that have been wrong some way, or visitors to the building that they're not dealing with their litigation, or they have high litigation costs? Unit owners can sue other unit owners as well as the public suing the building. So you have to remember, it's not just outsiders coming with litigation for the property, it's between units as well. Like maybe there's a constant water problem coming from my neighbor upstairs and it's affecting 3 units below, and the building just isn't dealing with this owner. And these 3 below units in the, all the affected units around are suing the building. You have to be careful of that.
What if
Yes.
there was like a crime or something that happened? Like,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that can be it too.
Okay, I actually didn't know this, but I went to show a condo and apparently there was like a stabbing like 2 months ago or something.
Do you show Fairfax?
I think so.
Yeah.
Is that the one?
That was the one, yeah.
Yeah, it was like, I'm like, I didn't know what to, I was
Yeah,
like,
there was. Yeah.
I mean, I obviously didn't get that.
Unfortunately, that's the only thing that's happened there. And I have an aunt and my best friend's condo is in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was.
Where did I like?
But this happens. I mean, you got to understand it happens every day and it's not necessarily the building's fault. So even if that happened, was it something not to do, not to be associated with the condo? In case your client asks you, you need to know the history of the building. Or was it due to the negligence of the building? Was the security not doing his job? Were they not on duty? Did they maybe pare back on the security because of funds and they're not having them stay there after 10 o'clock now, and this happened at midnight? You have to find out what the reason is for that building. Was it the building's negligence or was it just a random act, right? Because you can't really help random acts at the end of the day.
What is in case the third floor leaking water?
Yeah.
On the second floor.
Yeah.
So he responsible to fixing the second floor.
Yes.
However, the second floor again leaking the first floor.
Right.
Because of the third floor leak.
Right.
So the first floor, who's responsible? The second floor guy? Or
it should be the person who initiated, but you have to prove, right?
Yeah.
So unfortunately, my client, she just sold her condo.
Yeah.
But she was getting the heck out of the building because there was somebody putting cat litter down the drains all the time. And it was the clumping kind. So it was literally like concrete in the drains and all the units kept on backing up. And so she had water damage 2 or 3 times. And she said, forget about this, I'm moving out. Right. So this has been an ongoing problem and we had to disclose it. And we said, it's not a problem right now, but it has happened in the past a couple of times and it seems to have stopped because they just had to give a notice to everybody. So even though they had an idea of what unit it was, they couldn't necessarily peg it on that unit because that unit could say, well, it's 10 other people in this building have cats, right? Yeah. So sometimes it's difficult unless you can prove no room, unit 306 left their bathtub running and it's definitely the water that's come down that's ruined the second floor and the first floor, you know what I mean? So again, it's a bit of investigation and no, I know, but some people don't listen, right? So is this my porch? So who's responsible for repairs on the balcony? Are you allowed to plant flowers or put patio furniture out? Another big one I get asked often is, are you allowed barbecues, which you don't see often now in the newer condos that are built because of the insurance liability. You see a lot of rooftop patios and common areas going up where you have use of the barbecue, but you're not actually physically allowed one on your porch, right? Yeah. Fewer amenities does not always mean lower condo fees. We have to remember this. I know we all have that stipulation that, oh, there's no pool in the building. Great. The maintenance fees will definitely be lower. Yeah. It's not always true. Larger buildings with gyms and pools can spread the cost over a higher population of tenants. Smaller boutique condos with next to no amenities have fewer condos to split the cost of the expenses. So I give you an example of the condos near the town center. I'm sure you guys have shown them. They literally have like a bowling alley and tennis courts and a swimming pool and a movie theater and crazy amenities if you guys have shown it over there. But it's split between those 2 really large buildings with lots and lots of units in it. So when you kind of look at the maintenance, you go, that's not terrible for, I get to go bowling and I get to have a movie theater in my building, great if you have kids, right? So not terrible. Whereas you could have a smaller building that only has maybe 60 units in it and they're being killed with maintenance fees because of the pool and the 24-hour security, right? Those are some of your most expensive amenities.
The high amenities, like it's, especially with COVID, it's a very good selling point because you can
huge.
Say, you can't go bowling like publicly and stuff, but you can.
You could rent that space for
those square one high-rise condos are like that too, and it's because the surrounding condos have the prices have gone down, but those condos the prices have like more or less remained like they're okay, like they haven't gotten down too much, and I think that's what it is.
Yeah, no, it's important, and like I say, it's important to know.
If you're willing to pay the higher amenity cost,
Because of
they
boredom
have
right
the
now.
amenities,
Mhm.
especially right now, so.
But unfortunately, a lot of the amenities are still shut in the building if they can't really control, you know what I mean? Like a lot of the pools and gyms are closed right now.
Pools and gyms are
Yeah.
closed, but like the theater, for instance, like.
You
like,
can book
have
for
to just book
times.
it. Yeah, you
Yeah,
just have to book the time and
it's
then
true.
just, stand, like, they have precautions, but it is possible as opposed to like, you can't go to any theater or any bowling alley right now, right? Like,
Exactly.
outside.
Our rooftop terraces are great right
And
now
that
because
kind
people
of
can
stuff
go and walk
too.
around, you know,
The
get some
party
fresh
rooms,
air,
yeah.
party rooms. Yeah, so very good. Pay attention to the layout. So every building has multiple layouts and they vary in desirability. So 950 square feet, we say, okay, that's a decent sized unit, but it could be a 1-bedroom plus den on a low floor or a 2-bedroom, totally different layout. One design could be more popular and sell for much more depending on the appeal of this configuration. So 2 points I want to make on this. Definitely, if you hear, oh, 2-bedroom, great. You know, you might walk in and there might be like those condos downtown, sort of in Liberty Village, where I find a lot of the layouts are really slanted, right? I find a lot of my clients walk into those and go, well, what wall am I going to put furniture on? Right? You need to be really cognizant of what your client needs at the end of the day. But you also need to be careful with layouts. If you're selling in a building, you can't just go and compare, oh, I'm 2-bedroom in this last, but 2-bedroom sold for $750, so mine's going to sell for $750. We were just talking about Fairfax, for example. I sold and bought a lot in Fairfax. You have to be really aware. So my best friend's condo that she purchased in there is a 2-bedroom. It's a great layout. It sells for higher than this other layout that was a 2-bedroom. And I found that most people didn't like it because as soon as you walked in the door, the kitchen counter was literally right there on your right-hand side. So it was a really poor layout and it was selling for a lot less than the other 2-bedrooms were. So you have to be aware of the product that you're selling, really go in and research apples for apples and, see what's very comparable. All right, before we get on to the status certificate, I'm going to come here and check in with you guys. Let me see here, stop the share. How are you guys doing here online? Do you guys have any questions so far? Kitech problem, that's really good, Sri. That's an excellent question. Okay, so Kitech used to be a huge, a really, really scary thing. I've navigated a bunch of condos now and it's getting to be more commonplace. So if anybody is not aware, Kitech is a type of plumbing that they were found in a lot of condos. And there wasn't a health hazard to it. And there wasn't anything really severely wrong, except for the fact that they found that over time it could randomly burst and these pipes were bursting, causing a lot of water damage. So a lot of buildings were mandating that they were changing over their plumbing, which was a cost, right? It was a cost in the maintenance fees because they were using some of the reserve funds to do a lot of the common area plumbing. But then it was a cost to each individual owner because they were responsible for what had to be replaced within their unit. Right? So not impossible. I actually sold a condo in Grangeway where the Kitech hadn't even quite been assessed yet, but I was able to pull up some articles showing that the approximate cost was, and I forget off the top of my head now because it's been a couple of years, but I could probably share the article with you guys. I made the sale go through because I said to them, look, they're aware, they know that this is going to be done over the next couple of years. They've already mandated that this building is switching over at 68 Grangeway. And this article that I've read that has already dealt with a lot of buildings downtown and had the Kitech fixed, they're estimating the cost is about $1,000 per 100 square feet or whatever the case may, or $100 per 1,000 square feet, whatever your size your unit was, right? And that sort of alleviated the buyers. And then my seller took it one step further and said, okay, the approximate cost is going to be $4,000 according to this article we found. I'm going to rebate the buyer $4,000 at closing towards the Kitech because they weren't leaving because they were trying to run away from the Kitech. They just wanted to sell and move to a bigger house, right? So Kitech is definitely, you can navigate it. Have you had a specific problem with Kitech Street?
No, I don't have a 68 Grangeway. My friend sold one of the unit.
Okay, so same building, great.
Yeah, that's when I came to know.
Okay.
Then it's really good to know. And yeah, same way they hold off some money from seller side or buyer side from the lawyer. Then as and when they do it, that's what the same scenario what you explained. That's what they did actually.
Very good.
Yeah.
Well, at least
Yeah.
you were smart enough and you got that sale to go through because I find people I've talked to in the past go, oh, there was Kitech and the deal fell through, and I'm going, it's not really terrible, scary thing. It's just a cost they're doing, a precautionary thing, really, if you say, because the cost up front is way less than the cost if it exploded and the damage it would cause, right? So Kitech isn't that crazy. If you guys come across any Kitech problems, come to me. I have solutions. I have articles saved that help my sale go through. So definitely a good question, Sri. Does anybody else have any questions in the meantime? Any other problems you've come across with selling a condo?
Is it 88 also has a Kitech problem? No, right?
Is it what, sorry?
88 Grangeway.
68 Grangeway, 100% for sure. I'm not sure if 88 has the same. I've only done a lease in there recently, but I've done a couple of sales now in 68 Grangeway in the last couple of years. So
Okay.
68, 100% has the Kitech. But they've been switching over now. So
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
over the years, they've been switching over. Anybody else know of any other buildings in the area that we can warn each other has Kitech? Does anybody know if 88 has Kitech or any of the other ones around the town center? No? Well, definitely something to put up in the chat. I guess we could help each other at the end of the day. If we come across these buildings that have certain problems, we could kind of say, hey, just sold a unit in 68, FYI, Kitech, you know, take some precautionary measures with your listing and, you know, preemptively offer that discount or something. So you don't get hit after they've negotiated a price. Maybe your sellers can work it into their sale price there at the end of the day, right? All right, I'm going to go back to my screen share now. I just want to go touch on status certificates a little bit. I want to caution you guys, while I want to teach you guys a little bit, or at least, you know, refresh your memory or touch on a couple points of the status certificate, at the end of the day, you are not telling your client to waive based on your findings. You must direct them to a lawyer and tell them that they have to review with their lawyer the status certificate, and the lawyer has to tell them if it's clear or not, because we aren't lawyers at the end of the day. But you guys should still be familiar with reviewing a status certificate, because sometimes we're not getting the opportunity to review with the lawyer, and maybe we can give our clients some insight, but in no way, shape, or form are we telling them based on our findings, you should waive this condition, okay? So when you're reviewing a status certificate, the first thing you want to note, okay, you want to know, have units sold and closed in the building in the last 3 to 4 months? If units are selling and closing, it means other lawyers and lenders have approved the building. So this is a big thing. If you see nothing sold in the last 6 months, you really want to stop yourself and question why. Okay, why has nothing sold in this building in the last 6 months? Okay, especially if your client is not getting a chance to review with the lawyer and they're stuck in a bid situation. You want to say, oh, well, things haven't really sold in the last 6 months. Perhaps take an alternative measure. You don't have time to review with the lawyer. Call your lender right now and make sure that they're lending on this building. Make sure there's not a problem, right? CMHC most likely has not refused to lend to the property, which has occurred many times when concerns have been raised, okay? So this is huge. I personally had a deal fall through. Oh my goodness, I can't remember the name of the street off the top of my head. I'll get it for you guys. If anybody knows off the top of their head, oh, it might be Glen. It's
No,
just
Four Winds Drive too.
Sorry?
There's a unit in Keel and Wilson Street, like Shepherd. Four
Keel and
Winds.
Wilson, yeah.
Four Winds. The unit drive name is Four Winds.
Okay. There is one, and I'm 99% sure. Anybody let me know if I'm wrong. I'm sure I think it's Glen. It's just south of Cordona in Oshawa. I had just bought a unit for my client, fully approved, price no problem. You know, she was 100% on her financing. We made sure. And oh, sorry, I think I just have someone here waiting in the waiting room. 2737 Keel. Okay, good to know. But this one on Glen, same thing. We put in a firm offer. She went to her lender, and we found out that this is not something at CMHC. It wouldn't lend to the property. It wouldn't lend to the property at all. So they went to the two other big guys, Genworth and oh, I'm having fun with my words this morning, but none of those would lend. And I had to go and beg for a mutual release, because here I had her in a firm deal, because I had done my due diligence. I made sure her financing was approved, but for some reason they did not fund on this building. So you want to make sure that have things sold and closed in the last 3-4 months in this building. Big indicator if there's a problem with lending or CMHC funding for the building, right? This should give you some comfort to know that everything's in order, right? So that's the first big indicator, definitely. Condominium corporation numbers. This is something fun that I learned. I thought I'd include it for you guys. Condos are registered in numerical order, with the first buildings beginning about 50 years ago. So about 50, I think it's probably closer to 55 now since I've started doing this. I should update this. But 50 years ago or so, we started with condo corporations, with this concept of condo corporations, right? This means that if you're number 2400, your building is approximately 2 to 3 years old. If it's 500, then 12 to 15 years old. If it's closer to 200, then perhaps 45 years old. Okay, so when you see that, YCC or whatever the case may be, TSCC, all those things, it gives you an approximate age of the building. But we can also look up where else on public record, right, to see when the building was built. Okay. So why is this important? It's a good indicator if there's major repairs that are going to be needed in the building, such as roof, windows, and balconies. Okay, so you may pull a status certificate and there may not be a special assessment on it, but you might want to just tell your clients, hey, this building is 20 years old, and I think the roof or the windows might be updated soon. So while there's no current special assessment, know that maybe in the next 3 to 5 years you're owning this, there could be, right? You want to be a good agent to your clients and let them know. You can look up the age of the building and measure if the reserve fund has enough to support the upkeep needed in the near future. So you want to make sure those reserve funds are healthy, right? So if you have a building that's 20 years old and you think it's going to need a roof repair or a window repair, and the reserve fund is only $500,000 or $1 million, we definitely know that they're going to issue a special assessment on this building, and the owners are going to bear the cost of that at the end of the day, right? Who is the property manager? So we touched on this a little bit, okay? When my client said those are little kids were running through the hallway and the property manager comes out barking at her, check if the property manager is a familiar name, right? If the name is familiar or a popular brand, they may be comfort in knowing the board is being advised, right, correctly. So I don't know if you guys know Tridel. We always think, okay, Tridel's a really good builder. Tridel is also a really good management company because they make sure that all Tridel buildings are managed by Dell Management, which is a subsidiary, right? So I always find that when you have a Tridel building, 5-10 years later, those maintenance fees are really being kept down and the building's being managed properly because they want to stick behind their name, right? They want to stick behind their build. And then they also go one step further and put their own management company in that building, right? So I always tell my clients buying Tridel, I'm like, oh yeah, no, your maintenance fees shouldn't skyrocket or jump unexpectedly because Tridel puts Dell Management in there, right?
Their maintenance fees are high, but it's like you can see why. Like
it depends on the amenities, right, and stuff like that. And then there's always,
those
hiccups that happen, like if lightning hits the building or different things. It
those
depends what
theater
building.
condos and stuff in Square One, like those are all Tridel. Like, and it's like those prices haven't gone down because they're excellent.
Yeah. And crazy amenities, like you said, movie theaters, right?
It's worth it though. Like I'd be willing to pay for amenities if they had some instead of just like a gym and a pool.
Gym and a pool, yeah. But pool is expensive, right? But yeah, like a gym or like just rooftop terrace. I know some people like that. They say I want a building with next to no amenities because I don't want to pay for it. I just want the no maintenance of mowing my lawn.
Well,
but I don't need the pool or the gym or
I feel like it should be one or the other, not like most condos have a condo fee, even though all they have is the gym and the pool. And I feel like it's like really,
yeah.
But it's like put some more amenities there, and then I'll be more happy to pay for it. But
for sure.
But it's better like a condominium with pool and sauna, and that's why you call condominium.
Lots of people love it. You know what I mean? Like when my client bought Granger, she loved the pool. Like I said, she had the 2 young kids, and they, she goes, "This is the best building ever." The only reason she left because they kind of outgrew their 2-bedroom, right, when the girls got older. So, okay, another thing you want to look at is, does the reserve fund match the reserve fund study? So the reserve fund should be updated every 3 years. Be suspicious if there's no current one, right? The amount in the reserve fund should be similar to the amount that was projected in the last reserve fund study. So if the reserve fund study says we need $2 million going forward because, we think that these repairs are going to happen, and so we're upping the maintenance fee a couple cents to accommodate for that, and there's a shortfall, right? Then you're going to have to be a little cautious, okay? And this is why you can do a quick calculation. So if your client says to me, well, what happens if there's a shortfall? My reserve fund study doesn't cover it, right? You can do a quick calculation. By no means tell them this is an exact math, but it's definitely something quick. You know, when we quick calculate mortgages for our clients, for instance, we know it's not to the penny of what the mortgage agent's going to say. This is the same sort of thing. So if there's a shortfall, you can do the following calculation. 100 units in the building means that that most likely the expense will be 1%, right? Because you're one of those 100 units, right? If the reserve fund is short $1 million, your share would be $10,000. This same math can be applied roughly to special assessments, right? So you can kind of anticipate that because there's a shortfall, say it's not written in now because they haven't come across that, but once this special assessment comes, you're going to be bearing the cost of $10,000. Now, whether they choose that be over a year, 2 years, 3 years, that your maintenance fees are going to go up, whatever the condo board decides, you're going to be paying that $10,000 over some kind of special assessment in the next few coming years, right? This is a big one that a lot of my clients ask, and like they've nixed it now downtown, right? Is Airbnb permitted, right? The status certificate will tell you how many units are leased to tenants. So this is a big question I get too. Somebody living in the building doesn't necessarily want it to be completely tenanted, right? Because it's just a stigma that owners take better care of their property than tenants do, which is not always true. But sometimes they don't want if they live near the university, they don't want a building that's heavily tenanted because they don't want all those students living, for instance, right? Yeah, Sarah, what's up?
I didn't have my
I thought you had a question. So many buildings will have a minimum lease period of 6 months to a year. So they want to make sure that you're leasing to people who are genuine tenants and not Airbnb-ing the place, right? Which prohibits Airbnb, right? More and more condos are trying to prevent this due to security and insurance issues. So the theory behind a lot of buildings not allowing Airbnbs, which sucks for a lot of people who are buying for investment purposes downtown or in sort of touristy areas, was because of the high traffic. So you get this high traffic coming in and out every day, right? Instead of this tenant, right? And they don't have to answer back to security or management or their landlord at the end of the day because they don't physically live there. So they rent for the weekend or a week and then they're gone, right? So they're finding this was a big security risk for buildings, and owners who actually lived in the building permanently, or even tenants who were long-term tenants, weren't comfortable with this and they felt it was a big security risk, right? So if your client is buying for Airbnb purposes, you definitely want to make sure that they're allowed, because a lot of them are cracking down on it now. Okay. Pets and parking.
Is the Airbnb thing the same as like subletting kind of? Or?
No, subletting is kind of different. So if you have a tenant, right? The landlord and tenant board says that, okay, I can't break my lease, but what I can do is I'm allowed to sublet. And I know a lot of us put that no sublet clause in, but it technically by letter of the law, the landlord and tenant board allows you to sublet. Only by the approval of the landlord. So it kind of puts the landlord in a sticky situation. I can bring you.
Want the money, or do you want?
It's kind of a catch-22, exactly. So I can come to you as a tenant and I can say, look, I know I'm only 6 months into my lease. I'd like to break my lease right now. And you say no, and I say, okay, but I'm going to sublet it to this person. You now have 7 days to review it. And if you don't like their file, you can now turn around and rent it. But I can say, look, I was going to sublet it as for the landlord and tenant board, and then I can ask for an escape from my lease that way, because they can't hold people. Yes, you're supposed to obey a lease term, but there's always ways out of it at the landlord and tenant board, because they understand, like, well, I just signed a year lease, but oh my God, 6 months into this, I got offered this amazing job in Niagara Falls. I have to go. Like, if people have lives and
to pay, or you're like, it's like, what if
I lost my job, exactly, and I'm not able to pay
job.
anymore, so I want to sublet. So the landlord and tenant board, everyone says, oh, it's really tenant friendly, and it is, but it leans to situations like this because, I mean, some of them are inevitable, right? And so sublet, yeah, but that doesn't really have much to do with condo board and stuff like that, because if they're allowing you to lease, you as the landlord have to deal with those sublet matters and stuff with your tenant. It doesn't, it's not a condo really topic, right? And the last one, pets and parking. So lots of us have, pets, and our clients do too. They want to make sure we understand in advance whether pets or parking are permitted. Okay. Pets may be allowed, but there might be a weight restriction or maximum number of animals allowed. So they might say max of 3 animals, nothing over 20 pounds, right? Make sure you physically see the parking spot and the locker before signing any offer. This way there's no confusion with what you're expecting upon closing. So, you know, is your person an elderly lady and she got this great unit that's right off the elevator, but now you realize that her parking spot's way at the far end of the garage, right? So if you don't see it on the first visit, because a lot of times in the first visit, they don't give us the fobs or the right to walk around in the common areas, request one definitely before they firm the deal. Especially if they have special needs, like an elderly person who can't walk that much, or whatever reasons, you know, someone with a brand new baby, you know what I mean, that they might want somewhere close, they don't want to walk out in the cold, I don't know, different reasons. Check those things with your clients where the parking is, especially the locker and the pet policy, right? It's possible that, sorry?
Isn't it pretty hard to, like, let's say somebody walks in, oh, I guess this is more for houses. Cause I was thinking like a lot of people just lie on the application or something, like renters especially.
Yeah,
And then they'll
for
just
sure.
bring in like a cat or something.
So technically to the letter of law, lots of us say no pets, no smoking. Again, something that's not really enforceable by the landlord and tenant board. I'll go over that again. There's tons and tons of things we can talk about. I have a training that I do just on landlord and tenant board matters and us doing leases with our clients, right? From the tenant side, from the landlord side, for sure. And the last point, it's possible that the number on the floor may not be the same as the legal number of the unit. Please be careful filling out your agreement of purchase and sales. Do your due diligence, pull your public records, make sure that it is fully understood. I just sold a condo to my client, our condo townhouse, and she was really confused because the unit number is 6, but the legal description was unit 12, level 1. And she says, it's a townhouse. I only own level 1. And I said, no, that's just the legal description of the property, right? So definitely cross-check with public records what it says on there and fill out your paperwork properly for your client when we're doing those agreement of purchase and sales. Because if you're putting the wrong legal description, you're not buying the unit that they've viewed for sure. You're buying some other unit. All right, so I've talked you guys' ear off this morning. Let me come back to you guys here. Oh my goodness. How's everybody doing here online? Everybody good? Anybody have any questions?
Yeah, I have a question. Like by seeing a status certificate, can we able to find out what are the things included? Sometimes when I dealt with some condo townhouses,
yeah,
they cover sometimes the exterior, like window replacement or like a garage, driveway, all those they take care.
absolutely.
Like it sometimes we have to give a firm offer. My lawyer will review it before putting an offer, but sometimes is there any way we can find out, because status certificate to read, it's so much cumbersome, right? So
but I mean, like, that's why we give it to the lawyer to go over. But if your client is going over it quickly with you and they're saying, yeah, it's fine. Again, please do not tell them it's your legal advice by any means. But I just read over a status certificate last night with my client. And we were going over it, and to the letter of the law, it said that the windows and the doors and all the exterior brick is the responsibility of the owner, but broken glass is not, which means if they break the window pane, they're responsible for that. So it's only the function of the window, or if there was air leakage, I guess, or if the window seals went, but if they broke the window, it was. So I was like, oh, okay, but they don't have kids, so they just kind of laughed it off. But definitely something to go over with your clients, right? So you want it. There is a section that says exactly to the letter of the law what is the owner's responsibility and the condo board's responsibility. And, you know, last night, I know when I was reading it, it said that even though the windows and the doors are the condo board's responsibility, the owner is allowed to replace if they wish to upgrade, but they need approval first from the condo board. So even though it's covered, say I'm doing a really pretty renovation and I want to replace my front door because it's really ugly and the board is not doing front doors for 5 years, I can replace it at my cost, but I can't just put anything in that I want. I need approval now from the condo board because they want everything to look uniform. They don't want me to get a purple door when everybody has a white door, right? So there's different things that you have to read carefully. And every condo is different. So you can't just say, oh, it's standard. Yeah, no, they always cover the windows or they always cover the garage door, because they don't, right? Anybody else have a question?
It's a big problem sometimes the parking. Sometimes there is a 2-space parking spot. but after some time we find out one is permanent for unit, other one is for 100-year lease.
Okay, okay.
So that means in case transfer or selling transfer, then lawyer have to extra paperwork. It's a lease, you know what I mean? So always transfer other name.
Yeah.
You have to write it down, title, everything perfectly. Otherwise, you can lose the second one.
Right.
Even
So when you go and you check under the ownership,
Yeah.
you'll see that the same number is usually, and I'll try to pull one up for you, is usually a couple of different on a couple different spots. And you're like, what's going on? How come this address comes up 2 or 3 times? You'll realize one is for parking, one is for locker, one is for the actual unit, right?
Yeah.
Those are true owned. So I find a lot of people put owned as well, and it's not. It's an exclusive use spot because there's no title for it.
Yeah.
When it's an owned spot, it means that I can physically sell my parking spot separate from my thing. I'm gonna say I'm right downtown. I never use this parking spot, and I'm paying maintenance fees on it. I'm gonna sell my parking spot now, just a parking spot online, right? Mind you, it might devalue your condo, but it depends on the situation you're doing it for, right?
So that's what I was asking,
mhm.
like, I see a lot of parking spots, on sale for like 18K or something.
Yeah.
So it's like,
Those are individually deeded spots. Those are true owned spots.
okay, so
Yeah.
they're not associated with, cause I have, like, people who ask me if, like, cause that's the situation, right? Like, people who are buying downtown condos, like,
Yeah.
most likely are not car owners, or, you know, like, especially if they're young.
A lot
like,
of the
they-
time, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of the times, like, are not car owners, or it's not a priority for them or something.
But it can
so-
be lucrative to your client. So if your client says, I don't need it, I want to sell it separate, say, you know, I would advise them, I say, no, it's really good for resale, rent your parking spot. You'll make money if you have a condo downtown, right?
So yeah, that's
So-
what I was gonna ask,
mhm.
like, so can, like, if it's part of the unit, like, it's not true owned, like, owned
Mhm.
separately,
Right.
they can still rent it at least?
Yeah, they can rent it. Absolutely. It's their spot, right? So. Mhm.
And,
So about
Can
the
you cover like exclusive or owned or they mention it in the MLS, right?
Right. So owned is when it has its own deed and title to it. It's literally an owned spot, right? And it's included in your maintenance fees, the proportionate share for that parking spot. Exclusive use just means that you get that spot number 22 every day. Nobody else can park in it. You don't own it, but that's your spot, right?
So we need to update the buyer, right, about that.
You need to tell the buyer about that. You need to go and check and make sure that there's actually a deed for that parking spot or not. Right?
If
So
it's
the
exclusive use, can you still rent it?
always
You have to check with your condo board, I think, regardless if you're renting anything out. But yeah, you can rent it out if it's your exclusive use and you're not using it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Sorry, Julia, did you have a question?
yeah. So the exclusive is for that unit, right? So always it will be there. Am I right?
Yep. It just means that you can't sell it separate from your condo. But like I said, spot number 22 is always yours when you come to park. Nobody else can park there. You just don't own it. You can't sell it separate. There's no separate deed for it. You just have exclusive use of parking spot number 22.
Okay.
Yeah. Anybody else got a question?
And CMHC is nothing to do with the condominium that you told me CMHC or something. CMHC only if you don't put it 20% down.
Yeah, then they have to
involved.
insure your mortgage.
But
Yeah.
otherwise, some other 2 companies they are now, no?
Genworth, and I can't remember the third one for some reason. That's how it,
so
yeah.
Maybe they are a little bit flexible, you know.
They are, but like for instance, when I came across that one, I'm pretty sure the name is Glen Street. It's killing me that I can't remember the name of it. But south of Cordova in Oshawa, beware of that building because CMHC and Genworth and the third guy, they wouldn't insure it. And I lost my deal. I had to back out of that one. And I wasn't aware. So definitely pitfall. You want to make sure that doesn't happen, right? Mhm. But yeah, guys.
You talk about the minutes of the meeting of the board, right, of the condominium corporation.
Yeah.
So do we need to request the listing agent or it will be part of the status certificate?
It'll for the meeting minutes. You
Yeah.
can request them of the board at any time without ordering a whole status certificate, but it is included in there.
Okay.
Yeah. Especially if any of your sellers sit on the board, it's really good. You know, you find a lot of owners do. They can get access to the meeting minutes, right? How about condo assignment? When's the right time? That's a really good question. Okay, definitely before you close. It all just depends on when you find the height of that, what the sales are going for. I mean, I find if you're the first one to do an assignment in the building, really hard to price, really hard to push because you don't know. You get a lot of, I had a couple assignment sales last year there where I was the first one to sell in that little pocket because my client wanted to get rid of them, and everyone didn't want to pay so much more than he had paid and didn't have any assignments to bounce off of. So for me, I'd kind of like to see at least a few out. And then you find, of course, going forward, you know, closer and closer, you'll get a higher and higher amount. I guess it's just when it's a right time for your clients, right?
What's an assignment?
It's, so I buy a pre-construction condo. Okay, but I haven't closed on it, so I don't own it yet. I haven't taken occupancy. I'm assigning the contract to you, between me and the builder, to you and the builder. Yeah. No problem. So you guys, if you have any interest, any clients interested, sorry, Baskin, in the garden series, please call me, get some worksheets in, get some deposits in, because I really think that once they release it, it's just gonna go. Right. So if while our office has the opportunity to really get our clients in their first VIP, definitely call me if you have anybody interested and I can help you walk through it. Sorry, what was your question?
The assignment.
Yeah.
How long that valid or forever?
Forever. Once I assign it to you, it's yours until close with the builder. Did you have something, Visa? Oh yeah, 4% commission, guys. 4% for our agents. I should mention that loud. Definitely. They're offering our agents 4% commission for the garden series. So it's good commission if you have any clients looking for an investment. Really good investment. Warden and Shepherd. It's going to be definitely higher value than the K Square because we were talking about that's not as good a location. This one is right close to 404, 401, Fairview, Don Mill Station, groceries all around, super supreme location. So if you have anybody interested, definitely get your clients signed up quickly because I think it's gonna go. You should buy one for yourself, Sarah, for sure. Yeah, McDonald's, exactly. Ramezzo, I love that Italian restaurant right there. Ramezzo, it's old now, but I love it. Red Lobster, again, another favorite of mine. So yeah, I know the area.
I believe it's close to like Scarborough, UFT Scarborough as well, isn't it?
No, not Scarborough.
York.
I'm not familiar. Do they have a campus there? Let me just
Okay, I might be mistaken, no worries.
let me just
you mean the Warden and Shepherd?
Warden and Shepherd, yeah, Warden and Shepherd. You got it right with the McDonald's and everything there. So yeah, so if you guys want to make 4% commission, yes, Julia.
So with our pictures and everything, we can advertise that unit. Am I right?
So the only thing they asked me is that this wasn't final floor plans for the condominium. So don't put it on your social media. That's the only thing he said. But you can show your clients and say, you know, not much is going to change. They're just finalizing the floor plan with the price list. So he just gave me the floor plans for the condo, for the office use. You can show your client. Like I say, I don't suspect it's going to change much, but he just asked that we don't put it on social media yet.
No, but can we just put the first picture only, not the floor
Yeah, the
plan?
first picture for sure, absolutely, because that's not the actual floor plan. And then the office created that social media slide too, so you can push that out as well. I put it in the body of the email and I attached it in the email for you guys. So
okay, I just deleted it off my social media because I thought, okay, so we are allowed to
that slide that the office did and the front
just
pics,
not the floor,
just not the
detail stuff.
yeah,
okay,
which
yeah.
I don't, like I say, I don't suspect they're gonna change it much. Yeah, I can share it on WhatsApp, no problem.
That's usually
Yeah.
how you do it because you don't want to give away the floor plans. Like that's all. Like you're supposed to reveal that when you go through.
But they're just finalizing it with the floor with the price ranges and the deposit structure. And I don't think they're coming out with that till tomorrow now, finalized. So they just said don't share it yet until on your social media, but definitely you can share with your clients. Yeah, it's going to be very, very similar, very close to. So
The VIP sharing.
I know, come on, bring some clients. 4%, 4% adds up a lot, right? So you guys can make some good money selling these condos for sure. Get some investors in. All right, guys, you know you can call me if you need anything, and I will share this video later today. Everybody good? Did you have another question, Julia? No, you guys all good? Looks like the sun's
Thank you.
coming out. Sorry?
Thank you very much. We are good.
Oh, okay, good, good, good. All right, everybody enjoy the rest of the study day then, and I will talk to you guys later. Okay, have a good day, guys.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. I will, Sadia, no problem. Thank you.